Welcome to the J.A.M, everybody. So glad you made it in. This is GoGi's. I'm going to move away from my computer. I'm not usually on the computer, but today I'm on both. So I hope it's not interfering with the recording. Tranquility, can you tell me, is it interfering with the recording? Hello? Okay. So we're off to a rocky start. This is the first time I've been on by computer, and maybe I should have stayed on the phone. But anyway, welcome to the J.A.M. It is October. We're moving out of October into November. That means we're moving into our holiday season, and we're getting ready for 2025. So my word tonight is just to encourage everybody to vote. I've talked to some people, and they're like, oh, my God, I don't like either one of them. I'm just not going to participate. And I just want to encourage everybody, as they say, take the lesser of the two evils, meaning if you don't like either one, maybe you like somebody a little bit more. But every vote counts. And for TIs, this is like the most critical time. As you'll hear in the news tonight, there's some things that are coming down the pipe that are so critical for us, and we must become free. We must expose and end this program. Or I should say this program must end and be exposed, because I believe it's going to take us and more to do it. It's going to take God. So we have to do our part and just keep pushing and hoping and doing everything, using everything we have in our hand to make it happen. All right? So I want to encourage everyone to get out there in November and cast your ballot. Okay? And let me see. I have played a few clips of people or presidential candidates who have said things that are TI friendly, and so you know who they are, and you know who they're not. They're not, not that one, without saying any names. I think you'll get it. If you don't, just watch a little bit, and you'll know who that is, okay? All right, so thanks for joining the J.A.M. once again. This is GoGi's, and I'm so glad you made it in. Anybody, if you're online, I'll get to see you tonight, and I hope to put your camera on. I certainly will be putting mine on. But we're going to open up with a question. And the question today is, we have a billboard that will be put up. We're hoping for November 1st for 1 year. And thank you to all the Jamsters who decided to chip in at least $50 a month, and some a little less, but for 1 year we've made a commitment so that we can keep our billboard up. If I said bulletin board, that's the old teacher in me. All right, but billboard, and it's going to represent all of us, all targeted individuals. So what do you think we should put on the billboard? A tagline or something that you think we should include? Remember, we want it to be for passerbys. As they drive by or walk by, they can look up and get the whole picture of what's going on with us. What's the most important thing? And let's not make it anything, that they just don't believe. We want something that has been in the news, something that they know a little bit about or they can sink their teeth in. All right, so let's open up. Let's get busy, guys. Welcome to the J.A.M. Please announce yourself, city and state you're from, and what should we put on our billboard, T.I.?
Brandon, Palm Desert, California.
Hi, Brandon.
MK Ultra is real and help stop voice-to-skull technology and electronic harassment.
Well, electronic harassment, stop V2K, and MK Ultra is real. Okay, thank you. Next call.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
Hey, GoGi's.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, it's Darren. Hey, how about FBI, DHS? We're putting you on the watch list.
Wow. Love it. Okay. So that's the watch list. They're putting you on the watch list. All right. Anybody else? Welcome to the Jam.
This is James Lico, and I like that last one.
You like the last one? Okay, you agree with Darren. They're putting you on the watch list, and we're going to name who's doing it. DHS, FBI, all of them. They're putting you on the list. Thank you for that, Darren. Thanks, James Lico. Looking forward to hearing from you later. All right, next caller, please.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you? Hi.
I wanted to say that ordinary civilians are also Havana Syndrome victims with brain lesions.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that, Liliana. Ordinary people are Havana Syndrome victims as well, not just the diplomats. Thank you. Yes, totally agree. All right, next caller, please. Name, city, and state you're from. What should we put on this billboard to represent all of us?
Hi, GoGi. It's Lynn in Dallas, Texas. I say in humongous bold, humongous bold letters, it's not the Russians.
I absolutely love it. It's not the Russians, okay? Because, there's a tendency and there's something going around trying to blame adversaries, although not too long ago the U.S. said that they cannot blame foreign adversaries yet. There's a tendency to do so because they haven't taken onus for it themselves. So here we go. All right. Thank you for that, Lynn. Next caller, please. And Liliana, thank you for your donations as well to the billboard. Okay, next caller, please.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Eileen from Oklahoma.
Hi, Eileen.
Hi. Narrow rights to prevent narrow strikes.
Ooh, narrow rights to prevent narrow strikes. Okay. And I have to look up this narrow strike thing. I've been hearing it, and it's such a catchy word, but I'm hearing that it's evil. So thank you for that, Eileen. Thank you for joining the Jam. Anybody else? Anybody else before we close down and find out what's going on around the world?
People are saying neuro, but I think it's neural.
Well, they do say neuro too. I don't know. They abbreviate it in NEURO. It can also be NEURAL. I see, but they've been saying neuro rights and so far.
I go with a neurologist. Is a doctor of neurology, so it's neural. I don't know.
It could be. It could go either way. Yeah. I get it though, James. Thank you. Anybody else before we close down?
Electronic weapons and directed energy weapons have been classified by the United Nations Center for Disarmament Research as weapons of mass destruction.
Okay. All right. Those are a lot of words, but I get it. Yes. All right. So I don't know if we can reduce that.
Classified. We don't need to put, electronic weapons and directed energy weapons are classified as weapons of mass destruction.
We can put DEW equal weapons of mass destruction. So we'll see. That's a shorter way. Okay. Thank you for that, though. Thank you. One more. Can I get one more?
Hi, GoGi. This is Chris from Idaho. How are you?
Krista, haven't heard from you in a while. Krista from Idaho.
Yeah.
I'm as well as can be expected under the circumstances. Glad to have you on the call. What's your response?
Yeah, I would say stop the gang stalking.
I love it. Yeah. I love it.
Out of control.
Yes. That's one. I think we don't have that. We don't have anything about gang stalking on there. Well, we have some visuals that the team who's contributing, they're voting on. So they'll be voting on it this week, and then hopefully we can get it up by November 1st. That's the goal.
Or organize surveillance or something. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you, everybody. All right, so we're going to close it down, and we're going to get ready for the news. All right, everybody. I am trying to learn how to navigate my screen here. I may have to go out. I may have to go out of the computer. All right, guys, so we're going to get busy. I can't stand hearing myself echo. All right. So we have a video, our first video, Lady T. Can you roll the first video? I can't even. Let me see if I can introduce it. Yes. We decided to start. Oh, God, I changed the order. Go ahead.
Nelson is somebody who has experienced the collusion between big government and big business pretty much like no one else that I know. Amazon made claims that her husband did something illegal, although they were never told what that charge was supposed to be. They met with the Department of Justice over and over and over again and tried to convince the Department of Justice to charge him with a crime. They never did. Yet, the Justice Department came in and took every penny they had, took their bank accounts, went as far as, I think, taking his father or his father-in-law's bank account, took all of her bank accounts that were just in her name. The family was left penniless. They decided to fight. It's not over yet, believe it or not. This began while COVID was happening. And it could happen to anyone. So you know, all these victims, they're not necessarily, MAGA people or even Republicans. Amy, who I find delightful, was a bundler for Barack Obama. So there wasn't a political reason. There was a reason, and the reason is Amazon was trying to avoid $100 million judgment or penalty against them on something else, so they cooked the books and tried to make it, at least that's what it appears to be, that they cooked the books and tried to make Amy's husband the scapegoat. Why spend $100 million when you could destroy this one guy for maybe 10? You see,
very interesting. So what happened, this couple, as you see, they froze their assets, took their money, and basically they left them with nothing and no explanation. So they went after them. Instead of them losing money, Amazon, they went after the couple. And the words I wanted you to hear at the very beginning was they colluded with the government. Okay? We talked about that before, that collusion with the government, illegal collusion, it is illegal to collude with the government against anybody. And it's a higher crime, a much higher crime. The penalty is higher, and it's more severe. So we're going to continue watching this story. The Nelsons, suffered greatly, and they weren't told why their assets were being frozen and taken, but they were. Okay? So All right, we want to watch that as well with Amazon. All right, roll the next one, Lady T.
Okay.
Now, what we have learned is that the IRS, in fact, has been using AI to access bank accounts of American citizens without any kind of a search warrant or even without any specific claim that they have committed a crime. So this was something that was discovered by an undercover journalist, and what they found is that the IRS has claimed that they have access to every single person's bank account. This person also indicated that they've been working with the Department of Justice and that they have absolutely no problem whatsoever going after the little guy to make sure that they are paying their taxes. This is such a blatant violation of the Fourth Amendment that Jim Jordan and I sent a letter to the IRS demanding that they provide additional information about what they are doing with AI and what they are doing to protect the civil rights of American citizens.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that is the IRS. The IRS also getting involved, okay? So we have a lot to watch out for because we file our taxes every year, okay? And we're always involved with them. We have to make sure that we file the right thing and so forth, or else they can do things to us as well. So let's be careful. Let's be mindful. All right. Then, now, I'm not sure. A lot of people should know by now that Julian Assange was finally freed. There was a lot of attention given to the fact that he was in prison. He's a journalist, an investigative journalist, did a fantastic job. He investigated some things that the government did not want uncovered. And because of his disclosure of these things, he was in prison. People fought and made a lot of noise, but finally he was set free, and he made a speech, just a phenomenal speech. And we're going to take bits and pieces here and there. So today we're going to give you a little snippet of it, and then next week we'll use some more because it's a pretty long speech, but it's very, very worthwhile. So let's take a listen. Lady T, please.
Mm-hmm.
Esteemed members of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, ladies and gentlemen, the transition from years of confinement in a maximum security prison to being here before the representatives of 46 nations and 700 million people is a profound and a surreal shift. The experience of isolation for years in a small cell is difficult to convey. It strips away one's sense of self, leaving only the raw essence of existence. I am yet not fully equipped to speak about what I have endured, the relentless struggle to stay alive, both physically and mentally, nor can I speak yet about the deaths by hanging, murder, and medical neglect of my fellow prisoners. I apologize in advance if my words falter or if my presentation lacks the polish you might expect from such a distinguished forum. Isolation has taken its toll, which I am trying to unwind, and expressing myself in this setting is a challenge. However, the gravity of this occasion and the weight of the issues at hand compel me to set aside my reservations and speak to you directly. I have traveled a long way, literally and figuratively, to be before you today. Before our discussion or answering any questions you might have, I wish to thank PACE for its 2020 resolution, which stated that my imprisonment set a dangerous precedent for journalists and noted that the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture called for my release. I'm also grateful for PACE's 2021 statement, expressing concern over credible reports that US officials discussed my assassination, again calling for my prompt release. And I commend the Legal Affairs and Human Rights Committee for commissioning a renowned rapporteur, Suna Ayers-Daughter, to investigate the circumstances surrounding my detention and conviction and the consequent implications for human rights.
However, like so many of the efforts made in my case, whether they were from parliamentarians, presidents, prime ministers, the Pope, UN officials and diplomats, unions, legal and medical professionals, academics, activists, or citizens, none of them should have been necessary. None of the statements, resolutions, reports, films, articles, events, fundraisers, protests, and letters over the last 14 years should have been necessary. But all of them were necessary because without them, I never would have seen the light of day.
I'm going to stop it right there, Gaji.
Okay,
Hello?
I apologize
Gaji.
for the dead space. I am learning how to work with the computer. My first time on here, but here we are. All right, so we want to take a commercial break, and we're going to hear more of Julian Assange's speech from time to time. So thank you. Welcome again to the J.A.M, everybody.
Chris, I've been hosting events for targeted individuals, but no one ever comes.
You need TIEvents.org. It's where TIs find all the events. Conference calls, meetups, webinars.
How do I get listed?
Just go to TIEvents.org. It's easy. TIEvents.org, where the TI community connects. List your event today.
You're muted, Gaji. We can't hear you. Gaji, we can't hear you.
Make sure that you try TI events to find out about events coming up for the TI community, and also if you want to list an event that you have coming up. All right, so our next video is coming up right now. Lady T, please.
Okay, this is Tulsi.
Dangerous and any baseless smear. Our own government institutions, which exist to serve the people, they are being weaponized against us. The Department of Homeland Security declared a heightened domestic terrorism threat due to three factors, the first of which is, quote, the proliferation of false or misleading narratives which sow discord or undermine public trust in U.S. government institutions, end of quote. They are the ones who get to decide what those false or misleading narratives are. Former CIA Director John Brennan said in 2021 that, quote, members of the Biden team are now moving in laser-like fashion to try to uncover as much as they can of what looks very similar to insurgency movements that we've seen overseas. An unholy alliance frequently of religious extremists, authoritarians, fascists, bigots, racists, nativists, and even libertarians, end of quote. Attorney General Garland charged his newly created domestic terrorism unit with targeting those who hold, quote, anti-authority views. That included parents who dared to protest at Board of Education meetings, concerned and standing up for the right for themselves to have a say in their children's education. A draft copy of the Department of Homeland Security Quadrennial Homeland Security Review outlined their intent to target quote-unquote inaccurate information on a whole host of topics, to include the origins of COVID, vaccines, the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, and U.S. support to Ukraine. Their misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation team exists to, quote, counter all types of disinformation. Once again, they get to determine what this disinformation is. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg revealed on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast recently that Facebook limited the exposure of the New York Post Hunter Biden laptop story just weeks ahead of 2020 election, only after talking with the FBI. Twitter took similar action. But they recently apologized for doing so, recognizing that their decision was wrong. The cozy relationship between White House officials, the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and big tech is now well documented and results in private companies not restricted by the First Amendment doing the dirty censorship work of those in government who are not legally allowed to do so themselves. The threat big tech monopolies pose to our democracy is real and serious. I've had personal experience with this. After the first Democratic primary presidential debate in 2019, I was the most searched candidate of the night. Unfortunately, and suddenly, my Google Ads account was mysteriously suspended without any notice or explanation. There were no responses to our multiple attempts to resolve whatever problem could have caused this, but after some time passed, magically my account was reinstated, again with no explanation or apology. But their actions limited my ability to connect with voters who were actively seeking more information about my candidacy and why I was offering to serve them as President and Commander-in-Chief. This has not only happened to me, it's happened to other candidates running for various offices. Joe Kent, running for Congress in Washington State, is one I know personally of. This happens all the time, with these big tech monopolies interfering in our democracy by manipulating search results based on whatever it is that they want the American people to know about a particular candidate or issue that should be concerning to any one of us and all of us. Now, recently we've learned that with the release of the Twitter files detailed by Matt Taibbi and others, high-level former FBI and CIA and other government officials were behind Hamilton 68 and their list of 644 social media accounts supposedly linked to, quote, Russian influence activities online. Now, Hamilton 68's work was widely cited as fact by institutions like Harvard and Stanford, by mainstream news organizations across the board, by members of the House of Representatives and Senate from both political parties, including the head of the Intelligence Committee. The problem is, it was false. Twitter themselves determined that the vast majority of counts that Hamilton 68 targeted on this list of 644 were, quote, neither strongly Russian nor strongly boxed, end of quote. They were mostly anti-establishment American voices from across the political spectrum.
All right. My girl Tulsi, on her page it says Tulsi for president. I'm with that in due time. Okay, so anyway, here we go. I wanted to do something, focus a little bit on MK Ultra because that word is thrown around, or that term, and I wanted to just share exactly what it is. So let me see here. Let's see what we have on MK Ultra. And I want to share a letter, too. Okay, so this is the article, and this really is taking place in Canada, but it's the United States. So let's just look at this. MK Ultra Ottawa, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but OTTAWA. Health centers seek to dismiss Montreal brainwashing lawsuit. Okay, Montreal. Family members of patients allegedly brainwashed decades ago at a Montreal psychiatric hospital are afraid they're running out of time to get compensation because the federal government and the McGill University Health Center have filed motions to dismiss their lawsuit. We know about that, right? That's really a tactic that's often used by when you come against the government. Glenn Landry's mother, Catherine Elizabeth Harter, H-A-R-T-E-R, Harter, was among the hundreds of people to receive experimental treatments under the MK Ultra program, funded by the Canadian government and the CIA between the years 1940 and 1960 at Montreal's Allen Memorial Institute, which was affiliated with McGill University. Landry was born after his mother's 1959 stay in the hospital and had to be raised by a foster family because she couldn't care for him. While he says early traumas she experienced before seeking treatment undoubtedly played a role in her mental health issues, he believes the shock treatments and drug therapy she received during her months-long stay under the care of Dr. Donald Ewan Cameron and his colleagues robbed him of a relationship with her. Imagine that. She was no longer the person that she would have been because there was no way that I could ever ask her about any kind of memories, he said of his mother, who he saw about once a year until her death in the 1980s. She spent time with me because I was her son, but there was nothing about herself as a person that I can glean. It was not there. Landry represents one of about 60 families participating in a lawsuit against the Canadian government. The McGill University Health Center and the Royal Victoria Hospital over the MK Ultra program. The plaintiffs alleged their family members were subjected to psychiatric experimentation that included powerful drugs, repeated audio messages, induced comas, and shock treatment that reduced them in some cases to a childlike state. Lawyer Alan Stein, who represents the group, said he had been hopeful the government and hospitals would agree to start talks around compensation for his clients, many of whom are elderly. Instead, the opposing parties filed motions in Quebec Superior Court last week to dismiss, arguing that the lawsuit is unfounded in law and constitutes an abuse of procedure. The government and hospitals argue the claims are prescribed, that they should have been filed years or even decades ago when the facts surrounding the case first came to light. In addition to being prescribed, the originating application is an abuse of process in that it seeks to relitigate the determinative questions of fact and law that the courts of Quebec adjudicated over 2 decades ago, one of the motions read. In an email, a spokesperson for Canada's Department of Justice says the government acknowledges the hurt and pain inflicted on those impacted by these historical treatments, but believes the claims are unfounded. The department said a 1986 report in Cameron's work found that the Canadian government did not hold legal liability or moral responsibility. Okay, this case, I wanted to focus on the U.S. because there was an issue about the United States having immunity in Canada. And although they had immunity when the lawsuit was filed originally, they do not now. So they're trying to reopen the case. So we want to follow that and see if the case is indeed reopened. There was also a letter, and most of the MK Ultra victims ended up in a childlike state, seemingly happy, but had no memory. They erased their memory. Okay. Now, they wrote a letter, and this is important to us as TIs because as we move forward, and I know everyone's documenting, and we have our own lawsuits, then these kind of things will also can be brought out in discovery. So this letter is dated in July of 2011. And I'm going to read some of it. We are writing to Dear Commissioner. We are writing to advise you on our ongoing work and plans for the next meeting of the Presidential Commission for the Study of Bioethics Issues. We appreciate, okay, wait a minute. Is this the letter? Yeah, we appreciate the time that you have taken to engage with us. Now, this one is from the United States with the Bioethics Committee. We saw the video before with Liliana, actually, our Liliana, and a few other people who were fighting against MKUltra. It says, we would like to clarify for your information that the Commission is not investigating or reviewing any concerns or complaints concerning claims about targeted individuals. This includes claims concerning MKUltra, COINTELPRO, electromagnetic torture on attacks, organized stalking, remote influencing, microwave harassment, covert harassment and surveillance, human tracking, psychotronic or psychotropic weapons, and radio frequency or military weapons or other claims. Now, what they did do, though they said that that commission wouldn't do it, and this is why it's important, they turned it over to the White House. So let me skip to that at the end. As advisors to the President, we will ensure that all of our concerns, information, and testimony are provided to the White House. We sincerely appreciate your interest in the work of the Commission and the time you have taken to share your personal history with us. So it shows a trail that these issues of MKUltra, COINTELPRO, and so forth were presented to the White House. And everything that we do to follow up, the letters we write, the calls we make, also stand as acknowledgement that we presented these things. So all of that we're going to need at some point, unless, of course, they would prefer to settle out of court, which often happens, if you notice, with a lot of cases with targeted individuals. When people bring up factual information, it's often settled out of court, but it's dismissed for a lack of subject matter jurisdiction or something similar to that. However, then they settle out of court so that the information, all of the evidence is not filed, so it cannot be used as case study. So it's, a tactic or a pattern that has been used often. And so every time you see that something was dismissed, don't always assume that it was dismissed and not settled. It could be dismissed and settled, which is often the case. All right, which is the case a lot with us, especially when you have good evidence. All right, I want to, let me see. Now we're going to go, and I apologize for the beginning. I really was trying to stay on that computer, but they were giving me a hard time. I hear myself on the computer, but then no one can hear me, so I don't know what that's about. Okay, so next we want to hear from Major P. Major P, if you can read, there's a new directive going around from DOD, and people are very, very concerned about it because it uses two words that stick out for me: stealth, okay, and assassination. And so we're just going to dive into it just a little bit. And the main thing here is the sooner we become free, the sooner this program is shut down, the sooner we can expose it, then the better, because things are happening and lining up, and we want them to line up in our favor, not against us. All right, Major P, please, go ahead.
Okay. The directive itself, it has 22 pages, and the update, it supersedes DOD 52401-6, and it reads procedures governing the activities of DOD intelligence components that affect United States persons, and this was amended, and it actually took place in 1982, but it no longer stands. And this is the new directive. The U.S. military coup concerns surrounding Directive 5240.01, issued on September 27, 2024, have raised significant discussions regarding its implications for military authority
and domestic operations. Here are some key points regarding this directive. Number 1, expanded military authority. The directive reportedly expands the authorization for military use of force in response to domestic civil unrest, which has led to concerns about potential overreach. Number 2, intelligence activities. It specifies that intelligence activities will only be conducted by Defense Intelligence components or other Department of Defense components when specifically authorized, indicating a structured approach to military intelligence operations. Number 3, context of domestic operations. The timing of this directive, just weeks before the 2024 elections, has sparked debates about its potential use in domestic situations, particularly in relations to civil rights and constitutional protections. Number 4, public reaction. There has been a mix of concern and scrutiny from various groups regarding the implications of this directive for civil liberties and the role of the military in domestic affairs. The directive is part of a broader conversation about the balance between national security and civil rights, especially in a politically charged environment.
Thank you so much for that, Major P. Thank you. Okay, and so that is the directive. We've heard a number of things. I didn't hear the word assassination there, but I've seen a shorter version of it, and they use the word assassination and stealth. So it's alarming, and we need to be careful, and we need to watch it, and we also need to do what we can to expose this program and end it. Okay, there's some good news on another note, and that comes from Michaela. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. But she fought hard and long in San Buenaventura, and she was able to achieve a proclamation for targeted individuals, but it's for Havana Syndrome. For this month, October, is now, I want to say TI Awareness, but it's not TI Awareness. It's Havana Syndrome Awareness Month. And so it acknowledges that everyday citizens, which is what Liliana had referred to earlier, have Havana Syndrome as well. But it also acknowledges in the first, I think the first and the third, or first and second, that Havana Syndrome is caused by directed energy weapons. This is something really good to have in your brief. I'm going to call it a brief with your documentation. It's something really good to have, and we have a group of people, thank you for the New Yorkers, that are going to, I won't say which city council meeting, but they're going to a city council meeting armed with a letter from all of us with the proclamation and information so that they can insist on New York adopting this proclamation, and that Havana Syndrome, and acknowledge that Havana Syndrome is not only a condition of the diplomats, but also of everyday people. All right, so Lynn, would you please read the proclamation?
Yes, sure. Can you all hear me okay? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay,
we can
great.
hear you. It's me they can't hear when I go on that computer. Okay, so go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. So you guys bear with me because I'm reading this from my cell phone, and as you know, it's a challenge when you're reading a document, but I'm going to do my best. So this is a proclamation that was signed by the Mayor, Joe Schreider, of City of San Buenaventura, California, as the state. Whereas Havana Syndrome are the first reported injuries of directed energy. Whereas Havana Syndrome was first reported in 2016 by United States American Embassy workers, their family members, civilians, and military personnel worldwide, where the injuries in some cases have been so profound that individuals individuals have been forced to end their careers in public service permanently. Whereas research has shown the injuries are a result of directed energy radio frequencies and possibly some form of pulsed microwave radiation attacks. Whereas the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces who proudly serve the nation and risk their lives to protect our freedom must be informed and reminded annually about the importance that they must report these symptoms, injuries, immediately. Whereas Havana Syndrome injuries include debilitating cognitive impairment and long-term neurological damage, headaches, fatigue, hearing and vision loss, severe and debilitating cognitive impairment, soporific, tinnitus, brain fog, vertigo, hair breakage from electroshocks, chills that feel like electric currents throughout the body, also loss of motor control, hot and cold flashes, chronic sinusitis, and dry eyes. It also impairs thinking, reduced situational awareness, long-term neurological damage, brain injury, often accompanied by unexplained sounds of buzzing, grinding, or piercing noise. Some victims have described being bombarded by waves of pressure in their head. While a few reported sounds like an immense swarm of cicadas filling their heads, others portray the effects as a wall of sound in one place but not another, as if they are deliberately stalked. I'm sorry about that. Several have stated hearing outside voices as it beamed into their head from some kind of voice weapon with no way of turning it off, and cloud normal cognitive functions. Havana Syndrome injuries are complex, painful, and inconsistent. Now, therefore, I, Joe Schreider, Mayor of the City of Ventura, do hereby proclaim October 2024 as Havana Syndrome Awareness Month in the city of Ventura, California. Whereas despite its prevalence, Havana Syndrome remains shrouded in stigma, preventing many from seeking help. Be it resolved, the month of October each year is designated as Havana Syndrome Awareness Month. Signed, Joe Schreider, Mayor of City of Ventura, October 8th, 2024. And you can also get this online.
Okay, thank you so much. And if you see that's just beautiful. It names just about every symptom. So those with tinnitus, you've been to the doctor and said I had tinnitus. You've been somewhere and said I had vertigo. All of that helps, and it brings the tie in. Of course, you need a full diagnosis, but just that helps as well. Okay, so we're getting there. We're getting there. If we could get that proclamation in various states, we could get it across the nation, it would be a wonderful thing. All right, so next up, Lady T. We have, let's take a commercial break, and then we're going to go, we have 2 more videos, and then we're going to hear from our speaker. Commercial break.
Are you feeling like something strange is happening in your life? You tell others, but nobody believes you? Well, get ready to uncover the truth with GoGi Justice's groundbreaking book, GoGi's 10 Signs Which Indicate You're a Targeted Individual. GoGi Justice, an everyday person just like you, has written a book that exposes the covert illegal activities happening right under our noses. With a writing style that's raw, honest, and relatable, GoGi takes you on a journey through the dark world of targeted individuals. You'll ask yourself if you are experiencing these signs. Learn about infiltration, gang stalking, privacy violations, and even hacked home appliances. GoGi's book is a beacon of hope, providing encouragement, tips, and resources for those who find themselves trapped in this nightmare. It's time to fight back and regain control of your life. So if you're tired of feeling isolated, unheard, and targeted, grab a copy of GoGi's 10 Signs Which Indicate You're a Targeted Individual. Available now on Amazon.com and the Targeted Justice Etsy shop. Don't let them silence you any longer. Take the first step towards understanding, empowerment, and freedom. Get your copy today and join the movement. GoGi Justice's book, A Voice for the Targeted Individuals.
All right, everybody. Don't forget to get your book. It's Christmas time. Thank you. I got someone ordering 5 books, and I'm so grateful. All right, so here we go. We have 2 more, and then I'm supposed to bring up something about this RISS. I don't know if you've heard the Regional Information Sharing System that is really for gang stalkers. It's supposed to be the gang stalking app. Well, do we have a video about that, Lady T, or no? Can't hear you. I don't think we do. So I just want to, do we have a video about the gang stalking app? No? I don't think so. I think I just wanted to mention the fact that what the gentleman is doing, that posted, is that they're asking TIs to request to go on the app and request access. They're denying all TIs access, but they give access to people who would like to be gang stalkers. So, I mean, you could try at your own risk, but, that's what the request is, to ask so that you can show a pattern of them denying TIs access and that the gang stalkers use this app to get us. And it's the RISS is the name of the app. Let me see if it's RISS or RSS. Yes, Regional Information Sharing System, a proven resource for law. Okay. All right.
I do have a video, GoGi, but I didn't I forgot to name it, so I don't know which one it is.
Okay. So we have 2 on. I'm sorry?
I said I did record it, but I just didn't name it.
Okay, no problem. So we have 2 videos left on hacking and phone hacking and tech hacking. So we're going to listen to them, and then we're going to introduce our guests. Let's take the short one first, or whichever one.
Okay, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you connect to any of those, I have your password. I have anything in between. Oh, man. You can hack anything. Car keys, garages, gates, anything that's radio frequency, access control badges for doors, and credit cards. There we go. I just read my card there, and if you want, maybe I can show you the beginning of it.
Oh, my gosh. This is Ryan Montgomery, known as the Ethical Hacker. He's demonstrating on camera how easily anyone can be hacked. Please pay close attention to what follows and share it with your family. There are many ways in which anyone can be hacked. I will show you a few methods that you and your family should be aware of, and of course, I will present a few solutions to help you protect yourself, so please stay tuned. Ryan is showing how hackers can trick people using fake Wi-Fi networks. They set up Wi-Fi connections that look real, like the ones you might see at a cafe or airport.
So all of these networks here, they probably appear to be legitimate, right?
Yeah.
But they're not.
These are all fake networks.
They're all powered by me. So as soon as you connect to any of those, I have your password. I have anything in between. So that's one thing. That's just Wi-Fi.
And you just, oh man. So is this how people are stealing information?
This is one of them anyways.
When someone connects to one of these fake networks, the hacker can see everything they do, like the websites they visit, all passwords they type in. Instead of you.
Yeah, which might have been what happened to me tonight. Maybe I went into a No. I saw my emblem on freeconferencecall.com. I just don't know why I couldn't hear myself. But anyway, yeah, so they'll give you a fake network that you tap into and get your password. It'll look just like, let's say, Amazon, or it looks just like something that you usually go to, but it's fake. So this is called unethical hacking, and they have a lot of different really good things about having good tips about it and also how to prevent it. So we're going to do that. I have a little series coming up that I'll tell you all about probably next week, and then we're going to do it sometime in November, and we'll include things like that. All right, so, okay, Lady T, the other one on hacking.
Said it before, I'm going to say it again. These 5G towers, they're not for internet and phone service. That's all a scam and a lie and a cover story. For the Project Bluebeam technology, for the microwave weapon that it was designed to be, to zap you with frequencies and mess with your sleep and your health. This is not conspiracy theory. And by the way, those of you that want to throw out the word conspiracy theory, that immediately tells me how ignorant and asleep you are. You don't even know what that term, where it came from or why they use it. It's simply to discredit whistleblowers, people telling the truth. So when you throw that term around, you just show that you're asleep and a sheep. That's it. So I'm going to show you this video because a lot of these are starting to come out now. These companies and these small mom and pop shops that fix your cell phones on a daily basis when you take them in, they're broken or they need repairs or a new screen. These people that own these repair shops are now making videos about what they're finding when they take your phone apart. There is no 5G chip in these phones. They're not only charging you more money for the phone and making a huge profit, but it's not even got the 5G in it. That's why your service still sucks. After all these billions of dollars spent on marketing about the blazing fast speeds you're going to have. Check out the video.
I have two 5G phones in front of me. Right there is where the 5G chip is supposed to be, and right there is where the 5G chip is supposed to be. And again, I fix phones every day, so you can take this from a reliable source. There's not a single phone in Canada that supports 5G. There's not a single.
Said it before.
Wow. I that is still something hard for me to wrap my brain around, that they're charging more for these 5G phones and there's no 5G chip inside. I don't fully get it. But they're saying they're using the towers, of course, to microwave us. They're using it for that and claiming that it's for the 5G, the expansion of 5G. So, perhaps someone else can explain it. I'm not going to put that on our guest, but it's a good lead-in for him because he is an electronic engineer, and he's a former moderator in the TI community. He is still a leader in the TI community. He's still a voice. He's still a friend. He's still around with us. He hasn't gone anywhere, and we're proud tonight to welcome James Lico. James, are you there?
Yes, hello. How are you doing?
Hi. I'm as well as can be expected under the circumstances. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Okay, great. So I'm glad you could join us tonight. And we have a very friendly group, so everybody just relax. We're just going to spend a little time with you. And then, we'll open up for Q&A, but right now everybody is muted so that we can talk and you can share some of the things. My core group is unmuted, but, they're just listening in as well. So I just wanted to ask you, I like to ask this question, James, and I know I didn't tell you I was going to ask that, but when you were younger, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I really don't know. I got to the point where I was old enough to go to school, and I attended for a couple of years, and I was, partying and that kind of thing. So that didn't go anywhere at first. And then I got more focused, and I realized that I really liked electronics. So I decided to go to school for that. And I was doing pretty well, and I liked it a lot. That was a big thing. So so I still like it. I'm 73 now. 72. I'll be 73 in a month.
All right. So you're almost there. We'll be there shortly. So when you were younger, you liked electronics, and then you pursued that as a career. Let me ask you this then. When did you find out that you were targeted, and how was that for you?
Well, I found that out in 2010, and I had already worked for Lockheed Martin Marietta back in 1990 to 1995. And I was used as an experiment victim, I realized, after the fact. And it was pretty horrendous because...
So you're saying you worked for them and they were using you as an experiment at the same time?
Yes, that's true.
Wow. And you
I should sue the hell out of them.
Well, you may get an opportunity to do that.
I might.
Oh, yeah. So you didn't know how did you come to find out?
Well, it's just thinking in my head after the fact of terms they used when I was around only, and observing this man. Well, first it was Jim Anselmo, who was the chief engineer at that plant, and another man who was around me a lot, and he always had his laptop computer. So I was being actively targeted, I figure. It's very educated. It's very an educated guess.
Well, I think it's a good one because he walked around with his computer around monitoring you. It seems so. That I think that's
I never happened to look at it.
I'm sorry?
I never looked at it because of I gave him his privacy. You might just not look at it because it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You would not. Who would think that someone is invading your privacy because they're on their own laptop? But nowadays we know if we see someone following us around, whether at work or anywhere else, with a laptop, phone, this and that, then most likely it's about us, particularly if it's the same person. So that person was able to get away with it because you had no idea about the program at that time.
I didn't.
Wow, James.
And I wouldn't have, I probably wouldn't have believed it if somebody told me.
Right. But it's interesting, though, that you were interested in electronics and you ended up working for Lockheed Martin, which, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it was. I was very focused on contacting them because that was the only job offer that I've had up to that point. So I was interested because I wanted to find something in the field.
Right.
And so when I went to work for them, and turns out they were in a strike. The hourly workers, which included the electronics people, were on strike for, 3 years, I think, which was crazy for them.
Wow.
Because they weren't receiving any money, and there was maybe they received some strike pay, but it wasn't much, and they screwed themselves over.
So when did you find out that you were being targeted? And you said in 2010. So you had finished working for them already, or you were still there when you found out?
Yeah, what did I say, 1995? Yeah, so I quit working for them in 1995 because I realized that I was under surveillance, but I didn't equate it to anything, like the organized stalking or, well, yeah, there was a theme to that. They had the Navy guys, a lot of Navy guys worked there, and they were stalking me. But
Wow.
but I didn't equate that to any kind of organized thing at the time. I just wanted it to be over. So I actually quit.
Mhm.
I could have kept working there. There was some people working there and they were under attack, I realized. But I didn't want to undergo the, I don't know, degradation of that, because they were actively stalked and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So I realized I didn't want to do that. So I just quit.
Wow.
And that was interesting because my wife just had at the time, I'm not married now, but my wife at the time had a baby in, 1994, and with my daughter Christine. And, it was interesting that these idiots would use me as an experiment while my wife was having a baby,
Wow.
And they one of them was yeah, I think you muted me.
Okay, it's okay. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, your wife was having a baby and...
Yeah, they were talking about me as though there was something wrong with me. And it was a very caustic work environment because I believe the boss, the head engineer that I mentioned, was how can I say it? Talking about me as though I had some kind of psychiatric problem.
Oh yeah.
So it was a caustic work environment, and that's
right.
another thing I would like to sue them for.
Mhm. Yeah, because you had a lucrative career, you had the major, you were the job of your choice, and then because of the harassment, you left. And really, they would owe you for a whole lifetime. You would have probably stayed and retired and so forth. So, it's something to say. I think the information that you have, as much as you can remember, to jot down and keep, to journal some things, like you have the name of that person who was walking around with the laptop around you, anything you remember what did, and if any kind of emails that may have been sent back and forth and so forth, that's all important.
No, we were on strike duty, so it was very informal.
Wow. Interesting.
First, he didn't want me to go on strike duty, and then he was angry at me for doing that. Then it was really not my choice. It was the choice of the big boss there to put me on strike duty. So I didn't have any choice.
Right. So when you left Lockheed, James, then you noticed that the gang stalking continued?
Well, yes, actually it did. And I was, like all TIs know, you come, you meet people that know this, and they're some kind of perp or something. So what happened to me was I was confronted by this ex-Navy SEAL who seemed innocent enough at the time, but as it turned out, they often get people who have clearances or who have had clearances and who might be doing things that would compromise them, so that they would I'll just say that, compromise them. So, and they're deployed, the ex-Navy SEALs are deployed to get them back on the right track, as if I didn't know what the right track was or what they thought the right track was. But it was, see, I had taken a year off to, I had money saved up during the strike, and I was trying to be a private investor. So, trading futures and that kind of thing. It was, I ended up losing a lot of money, but it wasn't money that I couldn't afford to lose. It's just unfortunate that I did. So, anyway, this ex-Navy SEAL would come over to my house uninvited.
Wow.
Rather often. Try to talk me into getting a job here and there. But I wasn't working because I was actively investing in trading. So he had his work cut out for him because I wasn't going to do anything he wanted.
Right.
Anyway, so go ahead.
Did you experience electronic assault while you were at Lockheed or afterwards?
Oh, yeah, afterwards. So that was in 1995. So I had about 4 or 5 years where I pretty much did what I wanted. I got a job at a school district in Fort Myers, Florida, and I worked as an IT specialist. And they hired me as a I guess an engineer, a network engineer, and trained me. So I thought that was pretty good. So I did that for about 10 years until they fired me because I don't really know why.
Wow.
But they wanted to. I believe they thought I made too much money, and they wanted to hire somebody else. So that was the part that I did know.
Right, and they would never say that. That you can't.
No, they would never say that. I could probably sue them too. But when I did try to sue them, I couldn't find a lawyer because I was targeted. I don't know how many TIs have gone to try to find a lawyer, and they had to see, because you're trying to sue them for, and I thought the targeting was part of it. I thought the targeting was part of my being fired, because it was right after I was fired that the targeting started in earnest.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
So I associated with that.
Absolutely. Actually, if you say that it was going on at that time maybe, but now when you look back, you know, it was going on at Lockheed, and with the Navy SEAL was a part of it, coming to visit you and telling you where to go to work, and, you know, the whole thing, you know. So it was following. Mm-hmm. Very interesting.
So the targeting hadn't started at that point. It only started in 2010 when I got fired, after I got fired. It started in earnest.
What do you mean the target? What part of the targeting? Because we already acknowledged that it had started at Lockheed. You noticed it in Lockheed as well.
Well, no, yes, but I didn't realize it at the time that it was. I thought what was happening to me was probably them, I don't know, somewhat stalking me with these Navy guys, which was, you know, pretty weird. Following me to the bathroom and that kind of thing.
My God.
Yeah, every time I went to the bathroom, they followed me.
Gee whiz. That's so great. Oh my God. Okay. So it's you know, and that's exactly what happens when you don't know what this phenomenon is. You just kind of in your mind think, I'm having a rough time, or these people are crazy, or you notice what they're doing, and really you think if you leave a particular place that it's going to stop. Many people try to just leave. Yeah, and it just continues and continues until you finally say, especially now with since we have so much information at our fingertips, so someone would sit down and search, and you know that's how I started finding things.
Yeah, I found it right away, actually, pretty quickly.
Okay. In 2010.
Yes, as soon as they started to attack me with directed energy, which was probably, I don't know, halfway through the year.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was living with a woman who I loved, and who apparently was talking to these people, and I didn't know it, but you know, I realized it after the fact, or even.
Oh my God!
You know.
You know what we call them, right, James? Or do you?
Yeah, I know, but I forgot.
Okay, so, well, if she was assigned to you, we would call her a honeypot.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because especially if
I remember now.
Right.
Yeah, but she was definitely in on it.
Right. So then she was a honeypot.
Right.
Okay. So sometimes you can meet them and then they approach them afterwards. So, but if they're assigned to you and they come to you and they already know and they're already involved, and like you said, she's already in on it, that's a honeypot, and it could be a man or a woman. But so
yeah, well, I realized after the fact that the man she was with before me, who incidentally died,
wow.
was also a victim of that.
Wow.
So, yeah, but I didn't realize that she was actually that involved until probably 2 years later.
Wow. So she spent 2 years of with you, and she was doing things like most of the time. Well, I kind of know what they do, but did you discover her things that she was doing while she was with you?
Yeah, I realized that. Gee, she's asking me this at a very interesting time. How does she know this? How did she know I was doing that? How did, there was a whole bunch of questions I had, which, like the Martin Marietta thing, I only realized after the fact. because it was over after I started getting targeted. And I looked it up and realized that it was, what it is. So I realized what it was.
So,
and my targeting was like everybody else's. It was very chaotic. They, were doing what they were doing, breaking into my house, I realized. And so it was very much like the targeting that we experience.
Right. So I have one more question about this, and then I want to switch up into, you had some tips for us from things that you learned. But before we go there, I just wanted to ask you one other question. Do you think that she was putting things in your food?
Oh, definitely. Because you'll think that I'm crazy or that this is very strange. Often she would cook dinners, but after a short time I realized that, I can't stay awake after these dinners. And I was getting, there was something in the dinners that were like a sedative. And I would go to sleep for hours, maybe all night. And I can't tell you everything about it, so I'm going to have to, not say, but it was very strange things that were happening with her.
Okay, I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, very, very sad that they invade our privacy to this point. It's one thing to do the things that they do, but I mean to put people in our lives like that, sleep in our beds, mess with our food, and to know that the government is involved. And I could only think about the fact that the government must use these tactics with adversaries, like to get somebody close to them. We see it on TV.
Yeah.
You get a spy, a woman that does that. You take a woman spy and they're sleeping with the adversary, putting stuff in their food, getting documents and this and that. But to do this to the American people, really? To do this to, everyday moms and dads, it's like, really? So
yeah, I had forgotten about this aspect of it, but it's because I saw videos of them. I put video cameras in the house to try and catch the people who were doing this, and I caught her.
Wow, you didn't tell her, and she didn't realize it. That's interesting.
Oh, she realized it after a while, because she knew the video cameras were in the house, just taking video of like anybody who came into my bedroom. Pretty much that's it. And so I realized that she was doing this because I realized that I was knocked out and she was doing things that were weird for somebody to do to somebody that's knocked out. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, but so now you caught that on tape?
Yeah, I had those for a while, and I was keeping them for evidence, but I don't think I have them anymore. The perps have relieved me of all the videos that I had. They stole all my SD cards, memory cards, with videos and pictures on them. Because they realized that they were on there.
Right. That was good stuff that you had that, James. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something.
So that was
maybe
that.
you still have something. Yeah. Maybe you still have something. But All right, so let's switch up for a minute. Thank you so much for sharing so candidly and intimately.
Sure.
You said that you learned a lot, just by being an electronic engineer and studying the program, and you shared with me some shielding tips that you had and you would like to share with the community. And anything else you think that you, even how you did that videotaping. So for me, like when I put up a camera, they just don't come around because they know, I think they see the light. Maybe it's the kind of cameras that you had back then that we which is why I noticed that when I bought one in particular camera, all of a sudden those cameras that I put on the roof of the house, they don't sell those any longer. And they're like analog cameras. They're so good. But as soon as you find something really good, it's like it disappears. But so now the cameras that they have whatever they have, this infrared IR light or whatever that they can, or night vision, they can see and they can spot, they can tell that the camera is there, so they just don't come around. But if there are any cameras that are not revealing, like I have one that I could put in stealth mode, but it would be good if we can find and pass around to each other which cameras to use. But I know you had some tips, so I want you to go into that. If you do have any tips about cameras to get, that would be great as well. But I'm going to let you, share some of the tips that you have.
Okay. Well, cameras are excellent if you can bring yourself to have yourself on film every time you go through your house. And then you have to go through the film and see if there's anything there. But I realized that they were sabotaging my cameras. I had like 2 or 3. They were sabotaging them. They would remove the memory card and probably erase it. I don't remember how. Now it's been almost, let's see, 2010, 20. So 14. It's been 14 years since then. And, I've forgotten a lot of what I was thinking at the time.
Right. But what tips do you have? What do you have for us? What kind of things can we do?
Okay, I'll get into that. I just wanted to just continue the narrative so that people could know what was happening.
No problem.
So I think it's important to have cameras, and I'm still having problems with the cameras because they know not to come in because they can actually see the cameras with the radar they use. They scan around, and they can see the camera, maybe see the infrared light. I don't know how they do it, but they know. This person who does this to me watches me all the time, so they know if you have cameras, if you got whatever you're hiding.
Actually, James, they know what we order. They know when we get our packages. They half the time they rummage through them and damage them and do all kinds of things. It's just, it's so invasive and pervasive. It's ridiculous,
Yeah. So I knew what to expect with them. So none of that was probably unlike what you guys go through. The cameras, I'm sure that they took precautions. They would screw them up so that they would. I never did get a picture of the perps. who broke into my house, because they are very, when they break into your house, they have to keep an eye on you to make sure you don't come home or, mess things up for them. So they have an assistant all the time, an assistant that's always watching. They know when I'm asleep. I believe I was injected with devices, like implants.
Okay.
There was one time that I remember that was very weird. I remember I heard this crash and bang and crash in one part of my house, and came in to find what looked like a bullet hole in the window, but the glass had all shattered, mostly all shattered out. And my daughter heard it too. And I called the police, and they said it was the weight of the house that broke the window, which I realized was stupid, because how could the weight of the house do that? They were just trying to, shine me on, because the city of Cape Coral had these people who were policemen, but they said they were in the gang unit. And I realized there weren't any gangs, and they were perps. They were involved. So
right.
They wouldn't. They said there was nothing to it, and I had to just go with that, because what could I do? But I would have gone and talked to the, I don't know, chief of police or whatever. Knowing what I know now, I would have, but I didn't, because I didn't know that they would do this. But there was police, involved in right from the beginning. There was a cop coming over to talk to the guy who was I guess my handler, I would have to say. Yeah, that was all very weird.
Yeah.
It's just like you guys figuring out stuff for the first time.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing you can do.
Well, there are some things, and there are some tips. That's what I want to get to now. I would like you to share some of the things that you learned, like you were telling me something about a magnetic strip or strap that can be used to help shield. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because then I want to open up for a Q&A from everybody. So I'd like to know about some of the things that you think we can do in our environment.
Okay. Well, that magnetic strip, my friend Donna thinks very highly of it. She uses it all the time. And so that is a strip that people cut in lengths that are like magnetic car signs. You've seen those magnetic car signs that you can just throw on the side of a car and it sticks because it's magnetic. Well, that and because of my engineer training, I realized that magnetic fields would disrupt the the signals, although not quite enough, as I found out. But it does work, because when I had attacks to my heart, and it helps a lot with that. You know, where they make your stomach gurgle. Well, that is due to the beam heating up your waste that's in your intestines, and when it gets to be a certain temperature, above 100 degrees, I don't know what the temperature is that this happens, but it actively produces gas. And that's what the gurgling is.
Aha, okay. And the magnetics, the strips will relieve that, or I know you said it will relieve the heart. Will it relieve?
I think it more. That as well? I think they can get around it, but it confuses them because they don't know. They want to scare you, but they don't want to hurt you. If you know what I mean.
They want to scare us, but not hurt us. Well, they want to hit the implants, right? They want to assault us with this electronic. They're studying us, so they want to heat it up and assault us, but not hurt us.
Right. Yeah, not hurt us, because I think that's one thing they're very careful about doing, because they don't want to get caught. Many things that they do, they could get caught for if you knew enough to accuse them of it. But now, see, I realized that I knew who was, they call it community-based agent, the people who do this.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's some kind of a secret agent.
Right. They have a lot of those. But let me go back to the heart with the magnetic strip. So what do you do with the magnet and with the strip so that people can understand?
All right. Well, let me just say where I bought this. I got it on eBay. I was looking on eBay for things that would help. I was always looking for things that would help. And it was always magnets. But they can get around the magnets if they know enough to do that. And because they can turn up the power and break over the magnetic field. But what this was, like I said, like car signs, magnetic signs that you would put on the side of a car. And they did work to a certain extent, because these people can break over what you're using to protect yourself. Because I had bought roofing material that was like sheet steel. It was actual metal roofing, and I have this to this day around my bed, because, like I said, they were torturing me, and it was severe enough to not be able to stand it. They seemed to like to shoot me in the head, and I realized that I was getting brain damage from it. And I have actually been diagnosed with dementia, so I believe that is from that.
Mm-hmm. And well, which probably is Havana Syndrome. People misdiagnose Havana Syndrome often because doctors aren't aware of anomalous health incident or Havana Syndrome. But I want to focus a little bit, James, on some of the tips that the TI community can take away. So you said you use the magnetic strips and you put magnets on them to block or to change the magnetic field, and you put it around your heart and around your stomach.
Right. You can buy this stuff on eBay. I don't know where else. Maybe on Amazon too. I had to search for magnetic strips, magnetic material, and you'll find it. And you need to get probably about 4 inches wide or thereabouts by any length, which you can cut down. So what I realized that was I was getting something that was like a sash, or that it's flexible, and you can throw it over your shoulder, cover your heart, or put in any configuration and cover your stomach or your wherever. And it would tend to break up the
field, the magnetic field.
Yeah, so it would disrupt the magnetic field, and when they're doing that gurgling of your intestines, I don't think they can detect that you have this, and it does stop it.
Okay.
It stops it immediately.
Beautiful.
You'll have to play around with these things. So Donna was just showing me about some kind of thing with duct tape. So you all might have found out that duct tape comes in handy.
Oh, okay.
For different things.
Mm-hmm. Also, one other thing, and before we open to the community, the metal that you put around your bed, where do you put it?
Well, just everywhere where a radar beam can come in. Everywhere. You just line them up around the bed and on top, and even underneath.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because they can come in from below, I realized somehow.
Yeah.
I don't understand why, but yeah, they have. This is very high tech stuff. Very high tech.
You said something about the sockets, the electrical sockets. You mentioned to me the outlet.
Well, I think I realized that dirty electricity can come in on the neutral. So that's something to know. There's people who know things like I forget the man's name, but he had a screeching recording of, sounded like screeching.
Oh,
and,
yeah, Dave Case.
Dave Case, yeah.
Yeah, with the SD card and the CD, which I actually love the sounds. Somebody said it sounds like pots and pans, and it's he says it's just random sounds, and he found out that it actually blocks them.
Well, I think they can't detect that you're listening to this, and it doesn't have the effect on you that they want. So I don't know. I'm not going to really get into it any more than that because I don't understand that. and I don't have V2K. I think early on I realized that they were not going to do that to me, and I was kind of glad they did.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, maybe they realized that with my my training that I might figure the whole thing out, which I did anyway.
Well, they have a different program for all of us, and we're studied by various people for different reasons. So I'm going to open up to the community now. I thank you for being here. I thank you for sharing. And we're going to open up and see, questions about any of the tips. I know you did mention covering the electrical sockets and the outlets would help to reduce things from coming in, and the magnetic strips, putting magnets on them. Donna is saying, mentioned doing something with duct tape. Maybe somebody wants to hear a little bit more about that, as well as the the metal sheets around the bed. So let's
go ahead and open it up
and see what the community would like to ask you, and then we'll take it from there. Thank you so much again for being here, James. Lico,
all right.
former
Thank you.
Lockheed Martin employee, which I didn't realize, and former TI moderator, and still a friend of the community, a voice in the community, and also electronic engineer. Okay, let's open up, please. Or not open up. If you have a question, please share your question.
Hello. Yes.
Hi.
What you told us is very interesting.
Hello.
I want to point out, it's helpful for us, to point out when you said
you're dropping out.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Let me move. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me move to another location. Okay. So I wanted to point out that when you said that these people don't want to hurt us, that is not accurate, because you mentioned that they were torturing you, and hitting you badly. Sorry?
They want to scare you. I'm sorry. I'll wait for you to get your question out.
Well, they want to scare you, but they do want to hurt you. I'm being microwaved and wounded all over the body, radiated with radiation, found burnt red and all over my body, and hurt all over the place. So they do want to hurt us, and they do want to torture us. So that is, a fact for all the victims of this. And secondly, so we shouldn't give them a free pass about that.
No, there's no free pass.
And secondly, right, I mean, they're criminals. That's it. They're criminals, and they're hurting us and attacking us and torturing us.
That's right.
The other thing I wanted to say, and because I didn't have an opportunity when GoGi was reading it, and I was giving my testimony before the Presidential Commission for the Study of Bioethical Issues, the letter that you read, GoGi, has the most important sentence that you did not read, that the Commission does not have the budget or grants to open or undertake criminal cases, investigations. So the government, the Presidential Commission, acknowledged in that letter that we were victims of a crime, and that's why that document is very important for us, for that sentence in that document. And then about MK Ultra. Sorry?
The whole thing was a cover-up, and that Amy Gutman didn't actually want to find out anything.
Yes, but they held it because they said they wanted to avoid international incidents, like when they injected the Guatemalans with syphilis and some people died, and there was a conflict with Guatemala from that they were trying to avoid incidents like that. So that's how they invited TIs to testify about these crimes. So they said that the commission does not have the grant or budget to open or undertake criminal cases, which are ours, our reports. It's on the letter where they talk about the experiments.
Right.
And then what I wanted to say about MK Ultra, MK stands for mind control. That's what MK Ultra is. And they're currently performing mind control with us, with V2K especially. That is a two-way radio system, and by reaching people with that system, they try to perform mind control, like that's a part of the MK Ultra in this program, the mind control.
Right. Do you have V2K?
Yes, I do.
Do you have, oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
A lot of TIs do.
Yeah,
I know that.
Right.
I think it's 60% actually. But thank you so much for your commentary, Liliana. You are indeed correct. The bioethics committee passed it on to the White House because they said they did not have the funds or wherewithal to investigate such crimes. I like that they said they specified.
So the whole thing was gaslighting.
So they passed it on. Okay, but you well know they had concrete information, so it's something good to hold in our brief as proof that these things were happening, and and also that they shared it with the White House back then. So it was very important. All right, thank you for your commentary. Thank you.
But I thought it was vital for us after we testified and we received that letter that they acknowledged that these are criminal cases that the commission couldn't undertake or open because they had no budget or grants, but they put on the letter that these are criminal cases, what we reported.
Absolutely.
Yes, of course.
Which is excellent.
Yes, thank you. And this
they were gaslighting us. I saw that commission.
Yeah. Next caller, please. Thank you so much, Liliana. Thank you. Thank you, James. 1 minute.
Hi there, Barbara from San Diego.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi, Barbara from San Diego. How are you?
I'm pretty good, hanging in there. And I have a comment and also a question. The comment is yesterday I came across an article of this guy that as soon as they installed 5G cell tower and they had put panels on it and he started bleeding, having watery liquid blood coming from both ears. And he found a place to move away to in Green Bank, West Virginia, and there is a number of people that have moved there that all have symptoms, and they acknowledge that they're sick and depressed and different symptoms that they have from 5G, and they're aware of it. It happens to be some kind of federally protected land that is a quiet zone because there's some super mega telescope there, and so there's no cell towers there.
Right.
And so these people.
Well, they say there's none, but there are. There's people with directed energy too, because I know people who went there and they still got attacked with directed energy.
Oh, they did.
There's an observatory there, and within a certain radius, there's no cell towers allowed. So it's definitely lower. You know, the impact is lower, and it's supposed to be a quiet zone, an area where there are no cell towers and no 5G and so forth, because it would interfere with this telescope or whatever this observatory. But
at one point I was thinking about moving there, but I decided not to after I found out certain things.
Yeah, well, I just came across it I thought that was curious that guy immediately had an effect as soon as they put panels on the cell tower, probably not knowing about targeted justice and that it was a weaponized cell tower, but he had, an immediate reaction from it. And my question
Absolutely.
is, when you sleep, when you have the steel roofing, is that heavy? Do you actually have it laying across you and you sleep underneath it on top of you?
No, I have it propped up so that I have a bunk bed, but there's nobody sleeping in the top bunk. It's just to prop the panels up against and one on top, and so that it keeps it away from my body. You wouldn't want to put these on yourself.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because I thought, how would that work? Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
That's a great idea. So a canopy or a bunk bed, something that will hold the one on top. Really nice. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you for being on the call.
Thank you.
All right, next caller, please. Next question.
Hello?
These are knowledgeable TIs.
Yeah, we have
Hello?
a really good group here, James. Hi, thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm glad you're on the call. Sir, how effective is when you put the roofing panels, are those the galvanized ones you're talking about?
No, they're nicely painted, white or reddish brown, like you've seen on people's roofs.
Are they the ones that are ridges they use for like porches or?
Yeah, they have ridges in them, so they fit together,
Okay.
methodically.
Okay. All right. And also, I was going to comment. I've noticed that you were saying for the heart area, just FYI, I believe what you're saying, which is I thank you for that, for the magnetic strip, but also for the TI community, if you buy a small water bottle and if you put it near your heart, fill it with water, it also deflects some of that. I've done that, but also I drink some whole milk when I get that heartburn and that when they're attacking the heart. Also, I've learned, and I'm just saying for me, when they attack my legs with the implants and stuff, I drink pickle juice, and that seems to defer some of the pain. That also helps.
Okay, I'll remember that.
Listen, I'm glad you said that about the pickle juice, Roger, because I first of all, I love pickle juice. So I said this should be good for something, but I couldn't find anything it was good for. So that is wonderful to know. It helps with
drink about a half a cup of it right out of the jar. And matter of fact, I went to that big box store that has put every mom and pop store out, and bought a huge 2 of them. They were like $5.97 with the big dill pickles in them. So I have like two of those, and I always keep 2. They're like $6. Also, I wanted to say this. I've noticed the perks are so creative that they go through, you're thinking all this heat is coming down on you and how they're getting through. I just realized they're going through my heat and air conditioning ducts, and I actually found it that they utilize the ducts, the heat ducts, and the AC ducts to get and put stuff in there and be able to utilize whatever they do to bring that directly onto you. Just happened to me. Also,
I often wondered how they would get the heavy metals into you. They probably poison your food with it.
Oh yeah, especially if we eat out.
And that's something I realized that every TI has is heavy metals, and all of us should get detoxed. I haven't yet, but there are detox protocols. One doctor who you might check on the internet is Anna Mihalcia.
Yeah.
I think that you've heard of her?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. We have.
Yeah, she has protocols for that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
What I was going to say was you.
So does Dr. McCullough, Peter McCullough.
Oh, I don't know him. Good, I'll look him up. Peter McCullough. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I know Dr. Mihalcia recommends the EDTA, and there's also, of course, bentonite clay, the liquid form, the one that helps you to expend it as well as gather it, because some of the bentonite clay will clump it together, but you want the one that helps you to expel it from your body as well. But it's really
I think you
good.
can spin it out so you can kind of drink it.
It's so good that you can't stir it with a metal spoon because it'll start collecting the metal from the spoon. So you have to put it in a glass, and use plastic, nothing metal, to drink it and take it. So it's important to when you take it like that. But these things, as TIs, every day we should be doing something to detox, because every day they're doing something to put this disgusting stuff in our bodies. And so we have to detox constantly. But Roger, you had something else? Go ahead.
Yes, I was going to say, like when you're sleeping and you get this heat from or from dirty electricity, what I did was I took the boxes near my bed, like the outlet boxes, and I turned off the power, and I took that outlet that were near my bed, and I took turned the power off, took the outlets, disconnected them, and connected the wires back and used electrical tape to get rid of that source, because they go through the outlet to send out dirty electricity, and it can go to bring heat near the bed and stuff like that, or under the bed. So I did that, and that does deflect some of it, quite a bit of it, actually. So I'm just telling you things that I've done to help myself with that.
Okay, I was never willing to turn the power off, so I never did that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And also, you were saying just a tip, if you have access to a steam room or a sauna, that really helps detox the body.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that's true, but unfortunately I don't.
Okay. And also cilantro and garlic.
Yeah, cilantro.
Cilantro and garlic. You should, if you're going to do it every week, and do it like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and you take a pinch of it, like on a tip of your finger of a garlic clove, crunch it up, and then take quite a bit of cilantro, like in your hand, and you chop that up and eat it. I mean, it's tough, but it does detox the body. And the last thing I have is to help detox is baking soda. So when you're doing the bentonite clay and you get the water as hot as possible, also put a box of baking soda in with that, and it really, you can see when you get out the tub, you will see a black ring around there. Now, I follow a guy on Substack, he's Dr. Iglesias, and he says we should be taking a teaspoon of baking soda daily. So I put it in my 1 cup of coffee a day, and it does help with the brain fog, and it does help with the body. So those are just tips from me. Other than that, great show. Talk to you soon. Peace and blessings, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roger. Thank you. I love these tips, guys. Love these tips. So baking soda, EDTA, bentonite clay, cover and your outlets, turn them off at times if you can. Do whatever with those wires. Do it. I can't do that, but I did cover mine, and the magnetic strips, and put magnets on the magnetic strips. Pickle juice for the legs. Put magnets on the magnetic strips as well, and make a
water bottle near your heart if you can't get the magnetic strip.
If you see me on
that heart attack thing is no joke. They can.
That's right.
Let's see. I think it's it's the acoustic energy, and they can radiate your heart with that, and it feels just like a heart attack. What I know to be a heart attack.
Mhm. One bottle in the front, one bottle in the back will help. A bottle in the back.
The magnetic strips actually work for me.
The magnetic strips with magnets on them. I love it. I'm going to try that as well.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. Good tips. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Roger. Next caller, please. Any other questions?
This is Saqib. I just have not a question, but if it's okay to a couple of minutes of comment.
Hi,
yeah, go ahead.
Hi. Quick. I would when you stated that they're only trying to scare you, I would kind of rephrase that with my experience being in this field for 20 years, and I'm an IT guy. I've been in IT field for 40 years. I'm a senior system engineer architect, currently working in IT field. So, in my case, I know they broke my jaw, they broke my cheekbone, and these are pretty serious injuries. Not only these injuries, they've caused me other injuries. Besides that, I've seen videos of many TIs with burns all over their body, faces, bodies.
Let me tell you, for a while there, they were experimenting with boil infections. Boils,
boils. Yeah.
Wide area. It's an infection that you get from maybe you've got an infection and it turns into a boil, a very painful infection, which has developed.
So what I was going to actually, don't mean to interrupt you because I have very limited time. I like to finish my couple of seconds.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I would like to rephrase that not everybody gets injured seriously. There are TIs who do get seriously because there are multiple layers to this program. The second thing I was going to say was based on the other topic came up about canopy and shielding. So if any TI interested, they can go to YouTube, look for an hour-long video. And this guy builds a canopy, shielding, grounded. He walks through you step by step, baby steps, how to build it, what to buy, where to buy, everything. You can Google this. It's called I Sleep in Faraday Cage. I Sleep in Faraday Cage, how it works, block, shield, EMF radiation. And the gentleman who's posted this video, his name is Jordan Bronson, and he has many other very informative videos of creating shielding stuff. That's all I have to say for now, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Saqib.
Okay.
Love that.
I wanted to say how they were doing these boil infections. They would somehow, I think, use a laser to make a hole in your skin, and then they would radiate that. They would concentrate on radiating it every day, and it got infected. I had them all over my face, all over my body, actually, even in my scrotum.
Right. You know what? Let me just say this, James. We are a very positive and solution-oriented group. So we focus on the tips and the group and the positive things that help, because I feel that we have commiserated for years, decades, and we're at a point now where we are looking for solutions and activism. So we are about doing billboards, where we go into meetings. We are looking for what works, not what don't work, and we certainly don't glorify what they're doing, because they would love that. They would love for us to sit here and talk about all disgusting things.
Yeah, because they want you to be scared. I realized that early on. The scaring is a big part of it. Fear. That's MK Ultra.
Right.
Trauma-based mind control.
We talk about the tips that work, and we work on them. So that's the focus. Next caller, please.
All right. I realized early on that these boil infections, what they were doing was they could look at it with the radar and see that it was hot, because an infection is hot. And they would use that. They would give me these boil infections before I went on a trip, so I could, so because they were using them for some, like you're going through an airport and they take your temperature. Well, if your temperature is high all over, then they're going to think that you're sick. I realized that it was for some specific purpose like that. Anyway, they're not doing it anymore. So.
Right. We're going to take the next question. Next question, please, because I want to make sure everybody gets home in a decent hour. Not home, but off. We're going to get that ready to close down. And I just want to see if we have any more questions. If not, we're going to end the program right here. Any other questions? Tranquility.
Area code 303. You're up next. Denver, Colorado. Hello,
not,
Denver. Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Gaji.
Hi, how are you, my dear?
I am alive, hallelujah. Roger,
Amen,
you
amen.
are, amen.
Hi, Constance.
Roger, I just want to say you are spot on. I have been talking about that for such a long time, and it's like nobody is hearing about it. Not the pickle juice. I didn't know about that. Thank you. I'm going to go buy me a big old jar tomorrow.
I'm telling you.
I'm going to suck it up.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, the EDTA, I've heard that too, and you might run it by your doctor. Tell him what you're going to do, because you could hurt yourself.
Okay.
It's
all right,
strong
what's your
thing.
question, Constance? What's your question, Constance?
So I wanted to just say that to Roger, and I wanted to say to James that thank you for that. I'm going to go try to get that done, because we as well have one of those beds. So I'm going to go try to get that done, and I'm sitting up here looking at it, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, I know I can do something with this. So, yeah, I'm going to go do that. Thank you for that information. I'm going to add a little something else to it. But thank you so much for coming on and sharing that information and giving you some brownie points. You go.
Thank you so much for being here, Connie Love.
There is one more tip that I wanted to give.
Okay.
You can
You can mute me.
Next caller, get ready. All right. Next caller, get ready. Thanks, Connie. Connie Love.
You can use vice grip pliers to lock your door from the inside so that nobody can get in. You do that by
vice clip wires.
Vice grip. You don't know what vice grips are?
Vice grip wires, you said?
Vice grip pliers.
Pliers. Okay, I know what pliers are. Yeah.
When you squeeze vice grips and get them tight, and they lock, then it takes a lot of strength maybe sometimes to get them unlocked. So it doesn't come off easily. So that's why it works to lock yourself in from the inside. I realized that early on in the targeting that they were coming in the windows and different things. And so if you take the vice grips, and I can go into detail, but I don't think I need to. You can figure it out. You clamp on the deadbolt thing you can turn, and you can put it on one side of the doorknob, or you can use a screw in the door. What you're trying to do is get the vice grips to lock onto the thing that you turn with your fingers, so that it can't turn, and that if somebody tries to open it with a key, it won't open.
Okay.
Because you can't turn the key that hard without breaking it. So you can use the vice grips to lock yourself in, so that they can't open your door, which I had a big problem with. They would knock me out and come in anyway.
James, I'm sorry, I have to move it along. I'm trying to get every question.
All right, go ahead. That was all I wanted to say.
All right, thank you. Next question, please. And let's
Hi, can anyone hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, hi, this is Debbie from Alabama.
Hi, Debbie from Alabama.
The cilantro detox, I bought that years ago for detoxing for medication, because I had that metal mouth, and I also had it from COVID. And I would take about 5 drops a day in water, and it brought my sense of taste and smell back. I don't have the courage yet to take a whole big bunch of it, because I don't want to end up with a bad reaction. But the other man was talking about a boil. I get out with that twice. I took a round of
Oh, you did?
Yes, but
the whole side of my face was boiled.
What did you take, ma'am? What did you take? What did you use to help? Wait, James. What did you use, Deborah, to take care of it? Because I don't want to talk about the problems.
Yes, I understand. I use Prid, which is a drawing salve. It's been around for years. And I put Prid on it, because PRID.
Okay.
It's used a lot in the South.
Never heard of that.
And it's a drawing agent. It's a drawing agent. They've been around since like the 1890s. And you can buy it at Walmart. It's a small tin. It's a thick salve. And I put, because that boil hurt so bad, I want to just cut my legs off. It just hurt that bad. I put the Prid on.
Oh, my God.
And it makes things rise to a head. And I was so much in pain. I put some on. I put an ice pack there because my leg was burning. About 4 hours later, I woke up, and it had burst. And it was bad.
Beautiful.
So I cleaned it up, because on my inner thigh, a very vulnerable spot, down a little bit. So about 7 o'clock that morning, I had to have my husband bandage it again and put my Prid on, because I was just too much pain. Another explosion about maybe 3 or 4 hours later, and it never came back.
Wow, I was trying to get
you can buy it at Walmart, and you can buy it at Amazon. It's called PRID.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Deborah from Alabama. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your tips. All right, next caller,
You're very
please.
welcome.
I appreciate you.
Shakib again. I know I already had a comment, but it just came to my mind. Very quick, 10 seconds. I hear some guys use the word "my handler." I'm not a very big fan of it. It's like a little bit glorifying them. So I would using other term than calling my handler. We are glorifying them, and they don't need to be glorified. So I have my personal words, but I keep them to myself. Anybody can come up with a better word to use. Thank you very much. I go back on mute.
What do you call it, Shakib?
I will just keep it to myself. You can call them, be creative, come up something that does not glorify them.
Okay,
I call them a torturer, a criminal.
Yeah,
I don't,
criminals. And we have to stop. We have to try, because I know it's a change. But next caller, get ready to stop calling them, to personalizing it. My handler, my this, my that. No, they're hired by the criminals, and they're involved in criminal activities. They're not mine. So if you say mine, you're going to attach yourself to them and keep it there. Our words are so important. All right, next caller, please. We're going to move it along so that we can make sure everybody gets to work on time tomorrow. We're past our time. Anybody else?
Hi, this is Ronnie in Texas.
Hi, Ronnie from Texas. How are you?
I'm doing good. I have a question, or a comment and a question, because somebody mentioned about the air ducts being used. I noticed in every area that I was going to, something would happen in the ceiling and it would get hot. So one day I went into my attic and I saw my AC was running, and they had a big old pipe going through my attic to where I was sitting. So I don't know what they were doing, but they were heating up my air ducts to each area that I sat at and was moving it around the house. Now they have the house all wired, so they don't have to get in the attic anymore to move it, because they know my areas. But I wanted to say that somebody mentioned the air ducts, and that is what they're doing for the air ducts.
Yes.
I do have a question about when I have turned off the electricity in the area that I am in. I went to the box and turned it off. I noticed that they still was doing something where they're like popping the roof in the areas that I'm in, because they don't know, I don't know if they can see me or not see me, or what they're doing with the popping of the roof. Has anybody figured that out? Why did they pop areas in the roof?
They pop areas in your roof. I'm sure it's to assault you, because most of the things they do is to get you better, to assault you. So if somebody comes back on, maybe Roger will come back on and mention it, because he's the one who went up in the roof and saw that they were coming in through the eaves and so forth. So thank you for that question, and I'm sure maybe he'll come back, or else I'll get the answer to you. Thank you, Ronnie.
Okay.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please. Let's clear this line, guys. Let's go. And we did it. So we're going to open up and say good night. Thank you so much for being here. It's been great. You've been wonderful. Listen, we're still asking people to gather their phones, clean their phones, and hold them for TIs in need. We're asking for information for the resource directory. The billboard will update you next week, and the National Watchlisted Day. We'll ask the co-chairs, Roger and Major P, to update us on that next week. Hopefully you're going to meet us in Washington, D.C. for the inauguration. Whoever's there, they need to hear from us, so we'll meet them there. All right. I think there's some other things going on, but I'm feeling pushed for time, and I know we're past our night limit, so let's just open up and say good night. If I remember anything, check my YouTube page. I'll have it on there. All right. This is GoGi's. Let's go.
Great call. Good night. God bless you.
Hi. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being here tonight. So glad you made it.
Thank you.
Great work. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Peace and blessings.
Good night, all.
Good information.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.